Here we are, guys, in part 28 of this story. In the land of waves, our favorite blonde encounters the Kyuubi. Watch the subsequent events unfold as Naruto uses the power that was sealed inside of him on the day of his birth. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. It's one of the 5 secret Uzumaki techniques. The scroll says regression seal on it. I wonder what it does, said Naruto as he opened the scroll to uncover what had to have been the most complex seal he had ever seen, and Jiraiya was immediately over the blonde's shoulder scanning over the Fuinjutsu, taking a certain scroll out of his own pack to analyze it as well. Holy shit. The rumors are true. It actually does exist, gasped Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes shot open as he just realized where Jiraiya was getting at and what scroll Jiraiya had in hand. Does this mean? I think it does, Naruto said. Jiraiya, get cracking on that seal. Right. I'll have it down. Just you wait. TBIO. 4 days so far had passed with Naruto making little progress on learning how to make that seal. Damn, this thing's more complicated than I originally thought, screamed Naruto in his head as he had already gone through about a dozen large scrolls that he was drawing the regression seal on. Well, what do you expect for a seal that can practically reverse time itself? A meager little storage seal? And keep it down, I'm trying to take a nap, replied Kurama. Sigh, I've gotta go clear my head. Just getting all frustrated over the damn thing isn't going to help, said Naruto as he put down his own brush and ink that he had for sealing. About an hour later, Naruto returned to see Jiraiya looking over the scroll that he left open on his bed. You know, you really shouldn't leave something like this just lying around, Naruto said. Jiraiya, I know the odds of Shinobi operating in this area are slim, but you can never be too careful, especially not with a seal of this potential. Hey, sorry about that. I'll be a little more careful next time, said Naruto. So did you find anything out about it? Yeah, there are a few things you're going to have to watch out for when you use it, said Jiraiya. The first is when you use it, you're going to have to be extremely careful what you encase within the regression field. For example, if we're going to use it to rid Neji of that seal, you need to make sure you've only encased the caged bird seal and nothing else. If you catch his brain in the field, you'll revert it back to the state it was in when he was only 4 years old. Naruto laughed at the mental image of toddler Neji that Kurama had created. It's not funny, Naruto said. Jiraiya, I've got a few test seals made up already that we can use to give you some practice on only encasing the seal, and we'll only proceed with it when you're confident you can encase just the seal. I'm also concerned about the chakra cost of this thing. What do you mean, Uro-senin? Asked Naruto. Naruto, you may never have had to think about the chakra cost of a jutsu before because of your abnormally large reserves, but the chakra that's going to be required for you to use this seal is ungodly, even to your standards, said Jiraiya. Especially considering you've got to fully regress what? An almost 12-year-old seal? So, chakra requirements have never stopped me before, said Naruto. Kid, you don't understand, said Jiraiya. If my estimate is correct, you yourself would only be able to regress that seal up to 2 or 3, and that's only because the caged bird seal is a relatively small seal. The chakra required for this seal is enormous, and the cost only increases the further back you go. Look, the amount of chakra required for it is influenced by 2 things, the containment area and how far back you regress what's in the containment area. While the seal itself is fairly small, you've got to go back 12 years. I said you have enough chakra to go back 1 year. Well, to go back another year, you're going to need twice as much as you had for the first year, and the chakra for each year after that is only going to double or more. Well, if I need more chakra, I'll just use some of Kurama's, replied Naruto. Even I don't know if that'll be enough, said Jiraiya. And now I'm offended, replied Kurama. This would be a lot easier to explain had he paid attention in math class back in the academy, thought Jiraiya. We say the bijou are infinite masses of chakra because for all intents and purposes, they are, but even they have a limit as to how much they can exert at one time. Well, if that's the case, then why can't we just do it in multiple goes? Regress Neji's seal as far back as possible, stop and rest, and then go again, asked Naruto. No can do. It's gotta be done in one shot, said Jiraiya. It's a failsafe on the seal itself to stop the use of that seal from completely screwing up the universe and disrupting the time-space continuum. The what? Asked Naruto. Don't worry about that stuff just yet, but what I'm saying is that seal can only be used once, and after that, Neji would most likely be ripped from this dimension, said Jiraiya. Naruto cringed at the very thought. Somehow, he knew what Uro-senin was talking about, but even he didn't know how he understood it. I see you get what I'm saying, said Jiraiya. Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure how. I've never once heard about this time-space continuum thingy, and even the whole concept of dimensions just gives me a headache, said Naruto. It must be the Namikaze in you, said Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened as his teacher mentioned his father's family. Uro-senin, who were they? Asked Naruto. What was my dad's family like? Give me a moment to activate the privacy seal, said Jiraiya as he went about doing such. I guess I'll start with this. You come from two families of seal masters. You know your Uzumaki heritage rather well by now, I assume, after the time you spent with Mifune and his family in the Land of Iron. While the Uzumakis were considered the most powerful seal masters in the entire shinobi world, there was one area of Fuinjutsu that they were surpassed in. That was space-time ninjutsu. And the family who surpassed them in that area was the family your father came from, the Namikaze. Whoa. Really? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya nodded. They were feared almost as much as the Uzumakis and as such were highly targeted, said Jiraiya. Unlike the Uzumakis, you're the only one alive with Namikaze blood that I know of. So what exactly is space-time ninjutsu? Asked Naruto. It's the ability to manipulate dimensions and dimensional voids. In short, they're teleportation techniques. The most common form of space-time ninjutsu are summoning techniques, but beyond that there aren't many who can use space-time ninjutsu to a higher level, said Jiraiya as Naruto was about to speak. Before you ask, even I can't use space-time ninjutsu to a much higher level than summoning. If you want to learn that stuff, you're going to have to ask someone else to teach you. Really? But who? Asked Naruto. There's one person I can think of who would know some space-time jutsus besides just summoning, and that would be your dad's only remaining student, said Jiraiya. You mean Kakashi-sensei can teach me? Asked Naruto, excited at the thought that Kakashi could train him again. Jiraiya nodded. He's the only one in the village who can use space-time jutsu to a higher degree than just summoning. Now, back to that seal you're working on. It's to some extent a space-time jutsu, but it only utilizes the time component, which is why it's so unique and powerful, said Jiraiya. But that's also why it requires so much churka, to repair any damage the effect of the seal does to the space-time continuum and to separate the space from the time. The only reason you can use it once on an object is because the second time around, you won't be able to repair the space-time continuum. I think I get what you're saying, although I still don't quite get this whole space-time continuum thing, said Naruto. I would be worried if you did, joked Jiraiya. Anyways, this means we can't waste any more time. I'm going to send a request to Tsunade to send a team with Neji on it to meet us under the guise of protecting a famous author from an assassination attempt. We're about 10 days from Konoha at a normal shinobi's pace, but given that Tsunade will most likely be sending Neji's team, meaning Guy, they'll probably be here in 7 days. We need that seal ready by the time they get here. The longer we wait, the more chakra it will require for the regression seal, and the bigger the chance that we risk of not being able to remove it. You know, I still feel insulted by that pervert saying my chakra might not even be enough, said Kurama. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but Uro-Sennin is right about this seal requiring a ton of chakra. So I'm going to need all you can give me at that time, said Naruto. 6 days later, finally, the blonde had finished it. It had taken him the equivalent of about a dozen years, and hundreds of scrolls, for him to get what he believed to be the correct matrix down. Alright Naruto, let's see if you have it, said Jiraiya, pulling out one of the test seals he had constructed a few days ago. Naruto took and placed it upon the scroll in which he had drawn the regression seal. Nearly 50 Uzumaki hand seals later, secret Uzumaki technique, regression seal. From the scroll, the sealing matrix erupted, forming what nearly resembled a giant clock, and the seal began to coat the test seal in churka. Seconds later, the seal itself began to glow, and Naruto could immediately feel the chakra drain start to take effect as the seal did its work on the test seal. As soon as Naruto saw the seal disappear from the test scroll, he cut off the flow of churka and fell to his knees. So it does work. And now you see what I mean by that thing has a huge chakra cost? Yeah, how long was that test seal? Asked Naruto. I made that seal 6 months ago. You're going to have to go for 12 years, said Jiraiya. That trial run had shown Naruto just how big the chakra requirement for the seal was, as he was already feeling as drained as the time he first summoned Gamabunta. 6 months, and even Naruto of all people was feeling the drain, and Uro-Sennin had mentioned that the amount of chakra required per year only increases with each year. Alright, I'll give it some credit. This seal's going to need a crap ton of chakra. I'm going to start building some up, so don't disturb me until you're ready to give it a go, said Kurama, getting a nod from the blonde. Now, the next thing you've got to do is make sure you've only encased the seal. You can't affect anything else in Neji's head, or else there's a risk for mental retardation, said Jiraiya. Now, these seals are only a week old and I've drawn 2 seals on them. Keep practicing until you can successfully get rid of one without affecting the other. The Jiraiya got more serious. Naruto, you do realize that if this works, Neji won't have the seal on his forehead and Hiashi can truly begin preparing for what he calls the Hyuga Revolution. It may be possible for that seal to remove some of the older seals. It may not, but as long as Hiashi can get the seal removed from Neji, then he can have Neji take a spot as a clan elder. That should be long enough to keep the remaining 2 elders at bay until either Hiashi or Duranji succeed their fathers. Who's this Duranji? I've heard his name before. Wait, isn't he one of those bastard main branch Hyugas? Asked Naruto. He is a main branch Hyuga, but he's sided with Hiashi, wanting to protect his own newborn daughter from being sealed when she turns 6, said Jiraiya. Once Neji is able to take the spot as an elder from Iroh, who just so happens to be that Shinji kid's grandfather, then Hiashi and Neji will begin to restrict the elder's influence and slowly work one of the remaining 2 elders out of power, giving them more control of the clan and banning the practice of the caged bird seal. While this won't affect you in the long run, it is possible that Hinata will have to take over as head of the clan until Hanabi would come of age 17 if Hiashi is the one to assume the role of elder. Uro Sennin was right. This would be the first big step in fulfilling his promise to Neji and Hinata-chan to change the ways of the Hyuga clan. So, are you ready for this? Asked Jiraiya. I am. Last night, I got it so that only the one seal was affected. And don't worry, I'm doing this for Hinata's family and the promise I made to Neji. I won't fail, T-Bio, declared Naruto. Okay, I just got a message from the toads I have set keeping an eye on the area. They're about half a day out, meaning they should be here by this evening, said Jiraiya. Awesome. I can't wait to see some of my friends again, and who knows, maybe Lee will be up for a spar, thought Naruto. You know, I should go pay them a visit, hee. Naruto, I know what you're thinking, but you can't waste any chakra. If anything, you should be resting right now to ensure you're ready to go when we start the sealing procedure, said Jiraiya. I know you're excited to see them, but right now you need to be conserving every ounce of chakra you can. No, I understand, said Naruto as he decided he would try to find a nice place around town to simply rest. This is it. I haven't been able to find a way to remove that seal, and if anything is going to be able to do the job, it's going to be that regression seal, thought Jiraiya. Guy-sensei, we need to pick up the pace. If we do not, then that poor and respected author could be in trouble. And besides, my youthful flames are dying to test themselves against this Jonin-leveled enemy, declared Lee as he and the rest of Team Guy sped their ways through the trees and towards the coastal village of Ogasarawa. Neji-kun, does something about this mission seem off to you? Asked Tenten as she and her boyfriend trailed slightly behind Lee and Guy. Besides those two getting all worked up again? I will admit I have felt that something about this mission is off, said Neji. First, why does a simple author have a Jonin-leveled ninja targeting him or her? Even if they were some sort of political dissident, someone such as an author shouldn't require a Jonin to take him out. Second, why are we meeting them all the way out here? Suna would be a much better village to ask for aid from, as they're at least 3 days closer, and I would imagine there are other smaller ninja villages in the region this author could hire protection from. Not that I'm complaining, but it seems a little odd that we're being rushed out like this. Hurry up, slowpokes. Called out Guy. Guy-sensei is right. If we are to reach our client in time, we must double, no triple our pace, said Lee. Well said, Lee. Let's go, shouted Guy, causing Neji and Tenten to sweat drop. A few hours, one panting Neji, and one exhausted Tenten later, the team of Konoha ninja found themselves at the entrance to the resort city. Wow, this place is actually really nice. Sigh, it's too bad we're going to be stuck on guard duty, and I so want to go to the beach, exclaimed Tenten. Don't you, Neji-kun? You know, relaxing on the beach underneath the warm summer sun? I'm wearing this new sexy swimsuit I just bought from one of the designer shops on the boardwalk. Neji was trying his very best to stop the blood from trickling out of his nose at the thought of Tenten in a bikini. No time for dawdling, slackers. Let's go find our client, declared Guy as he marched his team into the city, both Neji and Tenten praying that they would have some opportunity for relaxation on this mission. Guy-sensei, where is our client? Asked Lee as Guy pulled out the scroll containing the mission briefing. He should be located at the Ocean Sunset Inn, which is this way. 10 minutes later, Team Guy found themselves in the shady part of town, the same place where all the thugs tend to hang out. Guy-sensei, I don't think this is the right place. Why, sure it is. Don't you see all these youthful faces? I'm sure our client is around here somewhere, declared Guy, not bothering to look at the sign which read, Shipwreck Dive Bar, which was not even close to what they were looking for. The Konoha ninja received a few glares that basically said, get the hell out of here before we beat you up and string you on a line as shark bait. Deciding to be the responsible one here, Tenten asked a villager after they were away from the hotel for directions, and they were pointed in the correct direction. As they approached the correct inn, there was a rather annoying laugh coming from the bar on the bottom floor of the inn, and as they looked in, a familiar white-haired man was sitting at the table sipping on some sake with 2 busty women, still clad in swimwear from the day to either side of him. Is that? Asked Tenten. I knew something was off about this mission, said Neji. Excellent observation, my pupil, said Guy, giving Neji a thumbs up. What's that pervert up to now? Complained another voice coming from the door to the side that led into the hotel section of the inn. Team Guy turned around to see a familiar blonde whiskered person standing before them. Huh? Hey, you guys are here, shouted the blonde. Is that? Gasped Tenten, more surprised by the person standing in front of them than anyone else. No, that can't be Naruto, can it? And who else would I be? Asked Naruto. Yeah, but, and no offense, you're not a shrimp anymore, exclaimed Tenten. She was in fact correct on that, as Naruto now stood 170 centimeters. Naruto's hair had also grown out a little, to the point where Naruto's bangs now hung down to just above his eyes. I take it you guys are looking for some respectable and renowned author? Asked Naruto, getting a stupefied nod out of Tenten. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the only author is that pervert over there. Naruto pointed to Jiraiya, who was now walking towards them. It is nice to see you, but do you mind telling us what this whole thing is about? Asked Neji. Naruto pointed to his bare forehead and Neji's eyes grew wide. You can't be serious? I am. We've got a way to get it off, said Naruto. How? Asked Neji. It's an Uzumaki seal known as the regression seal. It'll revert your seal back to the point where it wasn't even there, said Naruto. There's only one drawback, and that's the fact that this is a one-shot method. The seal requires a crap ton of chakra, and there is even a chance I might not have enough to take your seal back the 12 years it needs to go to be removed. Why, you're kidding, right? You not have enough chakra? Asked Tenten. Naruto nodded. And that's using Kurama's chakra, said Naruto, earning a confused look from Team Guy. Sorry, Kurama's the Kyuubi. Ooh, you're telling me that even with the Kyuubi's chakra, it still may not be enough? Asked Neji. Naruto nodded. So what happens if it's not? Well, I think you'll be fine. It's just if we were to give it a second go where you'd be in trouble. If we were required to give it a second go with the seal, then something about you getting split between multiple dimensions, said Naruto. But don't worry. Since we are only going to do this once, all you have to worry about is having your mind reverted back to the state of a 4-year-old. Naruto just grinned and rubbed the back of his head, earning a look from Neji and Tenten. But I am serious. I've looked through all the seals in that Uzumaki sealing book, and I've even looked at all of the seal removing methods, and this is the only thing I found that would give us a chance of getting that blasted seal off. I understand, said Neji. So, are we just going to stand around and wait for the grass to grow, or are we going to get a seal off? Asked Jiraiya, coming over to join them. Everyone looked over at Neji. Very well. Naruto, I trust that you're going to be the one doing it? Asked Neji. Yeah, I kind of am the only one who can, replied Naruto. Good. I trust you and I believe you'll do it, said Neji. Let's not waste any more time. The longer we wait, the more chakra we're going to need, and I already feel like the amount of chakra is going to push Naruto to the limit, said Jiraiya. I've rented a cabin on the outskirts of town where we can do this as not to disturb the vacationers with the chakra. In the cabin just outside the village, Naruto had just finished unfurling the scroll with the regression seal on it, and connecting it to the seal on Neji's head. As this was going on, Tenten was doing her very best to comprehend the complexity of the seal that was laid out on the scroll. Naruto made that? Gasped Tenten. He's gotten a lot better since he left the village, said Jiraiya. Lee, is something on your mind? Asked Guy, seeing that something was up with his star pupil. It's just, I was really looking forward to pitting my youth against this Jonin level opponent, cried Lee. Not to worry, Lee, there will be plenty of other youthful opponents for you to fight, declared Guy. Well, to be completely honest, I would probably put Naruto around Jonin level in terms of skill right now, said Jiraiya. Really? Then I shall challenge Naruto to a test of flaming youth, declared Lee. Not now. Naruto needs to concentrate to make sure he's got everything right, said Jiraiya, stopping the eccentric Lee from running up to challenge Naruto. Jiraiya-sama, would you really place Naruto at Jonin level? Asked Guy. Trust me, he's full of surprises. And that's just his own power as well, said Jiraiya. I even think he'd give you a good run for your money. His own power? Are you saying? Asked Guy. Yes. He can access the full power of the Kyuubi, said Jiraiya. Here we go. I think he's ready. Here we go, Neji. Everything looks to be good. You ready? Asked Naruto. I am. I am ready for my cage to be open, said Neji. Right, declared Naruto as he began to go through the hand seals. Guy-sensei, I don't think I've ever seen those types of hand seals. What are they? Asked Tenten. They're a special set of 9 hand seals unique to the Uzumaki style sealing, said Jiraiya. Secret Uzumaki technique. Regression seal. In case, shouted Naruto as the glowing clock-like seal erupted forth from the scroll, encompassing a majority of the room. The chakra from the seal began to creep its way up to the seal on Neji's head until it began encasing the caged bird seal in a shroud of white chakra, and Naruto was making 150% sure that only the caged bird seal got encased. Alright, I've got it all and only it. This is going to hurt a lot, Neji, but I promise you'll come out just fine, said Naruto, thinking back to when Jiraiya placed a simple test seal on his own arm yesterday and had Naruto use the regression seal. He had successfully removed it, but Jiraiya commented that the pain was enormous, probably due to having the time and space components of reality separated in his own arm. I don't care what the pain is. This seal's brought me enough pain as it is, and I'll take whatever more I have to see it gone, said Neji. Do it. Okay, you ready, Kurama? Asked Naruto. Yep, I'll have to maintain a version 1 cloak on you as you can't do your own jutsu in a version 2 cloak or full Baiju mode. But I've got enough stored so that if you lose any, I can just refresh it, replied Kurama. Let's go. Uzumaki style. Regression seal, regress. A massive surge of chakra began flooding through the seal and the cabin began to quake as the seal began to do its work and revert Neji's seal to nothing. As the seal started, Neji cried out as extreme pain shot out through his head. Neji, shouted Tenten as she tried to run to Neji, only to be held back by Jiraiya. Trust that Naruto has everything. This pain is normal, trust me, but once it's over Neji won't have to worry about any more pain caused by that seal again, said Jiraiya. We've reached 1 year, said Jiraiya. How can you tell, Jiraiya-sama? Asked Tenten. You see the moving rings on the clock? Said Jiraiya, pointing to the clock-like seal. The innermost one around the center is the one for day, the one on the very outside is year. Every time around that outer ring is a year. And Neji's seal is 12 years? Asked Tenten. Yes, and it will be right about now that Naruto's going to have to use Kyuubi chakra from here on out. Just as Jiraiya said that, an 8-tailed version 1 chakra cloak erupted from Naruto. For Naruto, the chakra drain on this seal was enormous. He had already exhausted his own massive reserves and he could feel Kurama channeling chakra into him at an alarming rate, just trying to maintain the cloak. Even though the Bijou were essentially masses of infinite chakra, that didn't mean their chakra was infinite. It was just so large by human standards that it was considered infinite, and Naruto was praying to Kami that Kurama's infinite chakra reserves were enough to power the seal through another 10 years. 2 years down, Neji could only help but grit his teeth in the cloth that had been provided for him to bite down on. The pain was even worse than the seal itself being active, but he had to hold out hope. He couldn't feel any of his memories being affected, which would happen if Naruto had failed to encase just the caged bird seal, meaning that Naruto had succeeded in the encasement. All he could do now was hope that Naruto and the Kyuubi had enough chakra to power the seal long enough. 4 years down. Just keep it up, we can do this, called out Naruto to Kurama. Damn, I've seriously underestimated this seal. Even I can feel the chakra drain, commented Kurama. Whatever you do, don't you dare stop giving me chakra, yelled Naruto. Hey, I wouldn't dream on it. No way is some blasted seal going to beat me, retorted Kurama. 8 years down. 8 years, that's a lot of chakra going into that seal, commented Tenten. Yes it is. Naruto's putting every ounce of his youth into defeating that unyouthful disgrace of a seal on Neji's head. Go Naruto. Fight, shouted Guy. This isn't a fighting match, commented Tenten to herself. As long as Naruto has all 8 tails by the time he goes into the 12th year, said Jiraiya. That's going to be the difficult one. 10 years down. Oh no. One of the tails is going, cried out Tenten over Lee and Guy's obsessive cheering. Shit, come on Kurama, is that all you've got? Thought Jiraiya. Is the mighty Kyuubi no Kitsune going to be outdone by a mere seal? Shit, Kurama, shouted Naruto. Oh hell you're not. You're not winning today, you godforsaken seal, shouted Kurama as he forced more chakra into his vessel, reforming the 8th tail. Jiraiya let out a sigh of relief, but he was still worried. They weren't quite on the 12th year yet, and even he could tell that the Kyuubi was starting to run low. 11 years down. 1 to go. As Kurama began surging the last remaining chakra he had through Naruto, the pain in Neji's head caused the Hyuga genius to temporarily lose consciousness. Neji, shouted Naruto. Damn it. Just a little more. By this time, the 8th tail had disappeared and Kurama found himself struggling to maintain his chakra. He had severely underestimated the chakra cost of the seal, and now even he was on the verge of exhaustion. Come on. Egged on Jiraiya. Naruto was down to 5 tails and already losing the 5th as the counter rounded the 11.5 year marker. 4 tails, 3 tails, 2 tails, and the counter rounded the 11.75 year mark. Naruto's cloak dropped to a single tail and everyone was holding their breath as that tail began to disappear and Naruto's cloak began to recede. I can't watch, said Tenten as she closed her eyes and turned away. Just as the full chakra cloak disappeared, leaving Naruto with just an aura of demonic chakra, enough to give him the red slitted eyes and distinct claws, the seal on Neji's head began to glow a bright green, just as it had done when the Hyuga elders activated the seal the very first time to brand it into Neji's forehead. The last bit of chakra pulsed into the seal and the seal deactivated as Naruto knelt on the ground next to the seal, heavily panting and thoroughly spent. Is it? Said Tenten, opening her eyes. No, it was still there. The caged bird seal was still there and Naruto could only stare at it. Then that means, gasped Lee. No, Naruto-kun's youth had to have been enough. right Guy-sensei? Lee, said Guy, resting a hand on Guy's shoulder. Jiraiya walked over to the sweating and panting Naruto, resting a hand on the blonde's shoulder. Just from that, Naruto was barely able to keep himself from falling over. Damn it, Uro-sennin, it wasn't enough, panted Naruto as he slammed his weary fist into the ground, the momentum being enough to cause him to fall forward on top of Neji, the hand that was not slammed into the ground, brushing just slightly against the very tip of Neji's still present seal. Ooh? And what do we have here? Asked an intrigued Jiraiya as he reached into his back pouch to pull a rag out. The Toad Sennin wiped it across the seal on Neji's forehead, and when the rag was removed, just as Naruto's hand had done when he ever so slightly brushed it against Neji's, the seal was smeared. Well, would you look at that? Chuckled Jiraiya as Naruto forced his head up to see what Jiraiya was talking about. It was close, very close. Close as in the point where the seal had been inked onto Neji's head and was awaiting the activation jutsu to permanently brand it in, but it was gone. The caged bird seal had been removed. Oh my god, Neji, shouted Tenten as she ran over to where Naruto was slumped against Jiraiya. Ten? Muttered Neji as he slowly regained consciousness now that the pain had stopped. By that time, Tenten was already over top of Neji. Did it work? Tenten removed her forehead protector and used it as sort of a mirror to show Neji the ink smear now on his forehead. It's gone, but just barely. The ink was still present, which means we had it by minutes, said Jiraiya. Thank you, Naruto, said Neji, turning his head to the exhausted blonde that Jiraiya was supporting. Don't worry about it, I said I'd get that damn seal off of you, didn't I? Grinned Naruto. Ha! Take that, you fucking seal. QB1, Seal 0, shouted Kurama as he collapsed back in Naruto's mindscape, which had been graciously changed by Naruto to resemble a forest a few days ago. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to take a victory nap. Don't wake me for a few weeks. A few weeks was right. Even Kurama himself was running low on chakra, and it would take some time for him to recharge before Naruto could use any sort of QB form. Yosh! Naruto's youth burns brighter than ever, shouted Guy. That was truly amazing, Naruto-kun. I am inspired by your youthful display. Guy-sensei, was that not amazing? Shouted Lee. It certainly was, Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. And for the first, the wonderful resort town of Ogasarawa got hit with the horrific Jinjutsus that is the ocean sunset of eternal flaming youth. Thankfully for Naruto, he was not subjected to this torment, having finally passed out from chakra exhaustion. Are you okay, Neji-kun? Asked Tenten. My head feels like it's been split in half 1,000 times, but I think so, said Neji. He tried to activate his Byakugan just for safe measures and was able to do so before the pain of flowing more chakra through his already pounding head forced him to turn it off. It looks like you're going to get that beach vacation after all. I don't think I'm going to be fit for travel for a little. Tenten cheered at that revelation, making sure to thank Naruto when the blonde woke up. Letting out a big yawn, the blonde Jinchuriki awoke from his chakra exhaustion-induced slumber. Oh, you're up? Asked Jiraiya, who was sitting at the table in their hotel room working on a draft for his next Icha book. Uro-sennin? What time is it? Asked Naruto. 9 o'clock at night. Why? Asked Jiraiya, pointing out the window in their room. Oh good, that only means I've been asleep for a few hours, said Naruto, breathing a sigh of relief. Yeah, that is if you could. 2 days is a few hours, replied Jiraiya. What? 2 days? Shouted Naruto. Please tell me Big Bushy Brows Sensei didn't leave yet. They're still here. Neji was a bit dizzy from having the seal removed, but he's recovered from the massive migraine now. I believe they were going to stay a few more days until they were certain Neji had fully recovered, said Guy. So that means Neji's seal's gone? Asked Naruto. It is. You don't remember? Asked Jiraiya. Kind of, but I blacked just before you really did confirm it, said Naruto. Hey, I told you that seal was going to use a crap ton of chakra, said Jiraiya. Yeah. And for some reason I can't block out furball snoring, said Naruto with an irritated tone to his voice, earning a chuckle from Jiraiya, followed by a grumble from his own stomach. You're hungry, aren't you? Asked Jiraiya, earning a frantic nod from his head. Well, lucky for you I was just about to go and meet Guy and his team for dinner. Come on, said Jiraiya as Naruto hopped out of bed, his energy having been returned to him. Naruto, you did good back there. Naruto-kun, shouted Lee as Naruto's entrance into the bar restaurant was noticed. Jiraiya and Naruto took a seat at the booth where all the members of Team Guy were sitting. Hey guys, sorry that I've kind of been asleep for the last 2 days, said Naruto. No worries, such a rest was well deserved after that youthful display you put on the other day, exclaimed Guy. How you feeling, Neji? Asked Naruto, turning his attention to Neji, who was no longer trying to conceal his now clean forehead. Still a little disoriented, but much better, and my mind feels a lot less, how to put it, a lot less strained, said Neji. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of restrictor in that seal to weaken your own abilities, said Jiraiya. Now that it's removed, I'll bet you're gonna find that you can do more than you could with your chakra and Byakugan. I have noticed that. I thought my Byakugan was clear before, but now it's just, Naruto, I can't thank you enough for what you have done, said Neji. Don't worry, I said I was going to get rid of your seal and I did. Besides, I also did it for Hinata-chan as well. She sees you as a brother and it hurt her just as much to see you suffer. Hey, speaking of which, how is Hinata-kan? Asked Naruto, hopeful that Neji would spill a few things on how she's been. Hinata-sama's doing very well, Naruto. In fact, I am certain you'd be both proud and surprised with the person and woman she's becoming, said Neji. That's great, but how so? How's she changed? Asked Naruto, his newly found inner pervert hoping Neji would give him a physical description of the girl he left back at home. That, I'll let Hinata-sama show you when you get home, said Neji, sending a questioning look towards Naruto. Humph, no fair. First Uro-sennin won't let me use toads to communicate and now you won't even tell me how she is or how pretty she looks? Asked Naruto. It's like I said, Naruto, it'd ruin the surprise, commented Jiraiya. I did tell you. I said she's doing very well, replied Neji. Yeah, but that doesn't mean a thing. You've got to give me more details. What's she been up to? How's she changed? What's she look like? Asked Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto, but that I cannot say. It is a surprise, said Neji. I will say though that she is happy and she's waiting patiently for you to come back. You know, how much longer are you two going to be away, Jiraiya-sama? It's been nearly 2 years now, asked Tenten. Even Naruto wanted to know the answer, now dying to get back to Konoha and see Hinata. A few more months, I'd say. It actually won't be too long. Naruto's progressed much faster than I originally thought, said Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama, do you really think Naruto's got the youthfulness of a Jonin? Asked Lee. Huh? Do you really think I'm Jonin level Uro-sennin? Asked Naruto. Believe it or not, I'm certain of it, said Jiraiya. Trust me, Akatsuki will realize leaving you alone for 3 years was the worst thing for them to do. Yosh. Everyone turned to Lee to see a fire burning in his eyes. Naruto-kun, I must see how much your hard work has paid off for myself. I simply must challenge you. Naruto's sweat dropped. Sure, Lee, but give me another day or so to rest. That seal really did take a lot out of me. I understand, Naruto-kun. I shall wait until I can fight you at your best, exclaimed Lee. Guy-sensei, does this actually mean we can stay a few more days? I mean, if Neji still needs some time to recover and now Lee wants to test himself against Naruto, certainly you're not going to leave anytime soon, asked a hopeful Tenten, hoping to get a few more days to work on her tan. You know, it's nice to have a few days of vacation every now and then, especially after the busy schedule you three have had, said Guy. And besides, there's nothing more youthful than a 30-mile jog along a beach early in the morning. Tenten sighed, but if a 30-mile morning beach jog meant an afternoon of relaxation, then she wasn't going to argue. Late morning the following day found everyone out on the beach. Guy and his team had just finished their morning jog. Following that intense warm-up, as Guy called it, the ocean looked even more refreshing and Tenten was mere seconds away from diving in, almost forgetting she was wearing her training clothes, which included some weights that Guy had all of his team wearing by this point, even if they were nowhere near as heavy as Lee's. I finally get to try out that new swimsuit I got, cheered a joyous Tenten. I wonder what Neji-kun will think? And with that, Tenten had made a quick detour back to the hotel to change. Naruto and Jiraiya were both on their way to the beach, as Jiraiya was still in need of more notes for his research, and this resort town was proving to be a treasure trove of inspiration. It wouldn't be long now until the next edition of Icha Icha was ready for publishing. Now Naruto, let me tell you a little something about Hyugas, said Jiraiya. At first glance, they may appear to be one of the more elegant and refined people in all of Konoha, incorruptible and virtuous in every sense. But you know what? What Uro-sennin? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya pointed over towards the beach blank Neji was now resting on. Just watch, said Jiraiya. Oh, Neji-kun, whistled Tenten as she arrived back on the beach with her new swimsuit on. As Neji turned to greet his girlfriend, he was left speechless by the sight as his own mind froze on him. The weapons mistress was now wearing a two-piece swimsuit that was a light pink in color with an aqua blue trim to them. She was also wearing a sarong that went down to just above her knees, but really did help to emphasize the rather nice curvature to her body she was developing. Oh wow, Tenten's actually kind of hot. I mean, what is she? A B, maybe a C? But it fits her, thought Naruto as his hormones began to speak before his brain. No. Stop thinking perverted thoughts. I wonder what Hinata-chan would look like in that swimsuit. Naruto's mind went blank at that thought. And just face it, you're a pervert at heart, replied Kurama. Aren't you supposed to be sleeping? I can't sleep over those green spandex clones' constant shouting. And besides, your friend's reaction is priceless. Naruto looked over to see Neji, who was doing nothing about the blood dripping from his nose as he just stared at Tenten with those eyes of his, those piercing all-seeing Byakugan eyes. Neji-kun, don't stare at me like that. It's embarrassing, blushed Tenten. My apologies, Tenten-chan, I didn't mean to, it's just, said Neji, before Tenten shut him up with a finger on his mouth. At this point, Jiraiya turned back to Naruto. And there you have it. It's the true gift of the Byakugan, and it's the reason the Hyugas are also known as the biggest closet perverts in all Konoha. What? Objected Naruto. Hey, it's true, shrugged Jiraiya. Just think about it. Chakra points aren't the only thing the Byakugan can see. They can see through walls, trees, bushes, clothes. Oh, my God, gasped Naruto as the realization hit him. Did it ever occur to you that the Hyuga compound is situated about a kilometer away from the hot springs in Konoha? A far enough range to draw any suspicion away from them, but well within range of their Byakugan's vision, said Jiraiya. Flashback. It was just after Team Jiraiya had finished their daily missions and a 14-year-old Minato was off to find his red-headed girlfriend to grab a bowl of ramen after a long day of training. The second member of Team Jiraiya had also left as well, leaving a still young and innocent Hiashi alone with the biggest pervert in all of Konoha. Hey Hiashi, come over here for a moment, called Jiraiya. Yes, sensei, replied Hiashi as he made his way towards where Jiraiya, who had his eyeglass in hand, was situated. I'm afraid my spyglass can't reach that far. Can you tell me what's in that direction? About 2 kilometers? Asked Jiraiya. Sure, sensei, said Hiashi, activating his Byakugan and extended his range of vision. So what do you see? Asked Jiraiya. Nothing, sensei. It's just the middle of the street, but there's a fence a few meters in front of where I'm looking, said Hiashi. Well, then try going a few meters forward, said Jiraiya. Hiashi nodded and his vision expanded past the fence, until he was looking directly into the women's section of the public bathhouse. So, what do you see? Asked Jiraiya with a knowing and perverted grin on his face, only to watch as Hiashi passed out in a pool of blood that erupted from his nose. End flashback. And that was the first time I introduced Hiashi to that wonderful gift of his, said Jiraiya. Wait, does that mean Hinata-chan has also used her Byakugan to see what's under people's clothes? Like my clothes? What if she saw me naked? Panicked Naruto. Hey, don't worry. The way she blushes, she must have liked what she saw, laughed Kurama, causing Naruto's face to instantly go red. The following day, in a field just outside the resort village, Team Guy, Jiraiya, and Naruto had gathered. By this point in time, Naruto had fully recovered and was now ready to take Lee up on his challenge as the two stood opposite each other in the field. Lee, if you don't mind, I would only like to use taijutsu here, said Naruto. I've been working hard with Uro Sennin to raise my own taijutsu skill level, and I can't think of anyone else who would show me exactly where my taijutsu is. That is an honorable declaration, my friend, said Lee. Very well, show me just how far you've improved in your taijutsu, and if my own taijutsu cannot match yours in its youthfulness, then I shall swim out to the island and back 100 times. Isn't that island 5 kilometers from shore? That's 1,000 kilometers of swimming. Thought Tenten. Yosh. Let's get this youth-filled bout underway, shouted Guy. Fight, Lee, if you don't mind, I would only like to use taijutsu here, said Naruto. I've been working hard with Uro Sennin to raise my own taijutsu skill level, and I can't think of anyone else who would show me exactly where my taijutsu is. That is an honorable declaration, my friend, said Lee. Very well, show me just how far you've improved in your taijutsu, and if my own taijutsu cannot match yours in its youthfulness, then I shall swim out to the island and back 100 times. Isn't that island 5 kilometers from shore? That's 1,000 kilometers of swimming. Thought Tenten. Yosh. Let's get this youth-filled bout underway, shouted Guy. Fight. Lee had been the one to start the taijutsu match between himself and Naruto, already dashing towards the blonde Jinchuriki at a speed that resembled a spandex-clad Chunin with his weights off before Naruto left for his training trip. Obviously Lee's speed had to have increased, but if this is what Lee was like with his weights, then what would he be like without his weights? Konoha Senpu, shouted Lee as he performed a sweeping kick directed at Naruto. Naruto did as Lee had hoped and ducked underneath the high sweeping kick, leaving the blonde open for a lower kick. However, the moment the second kick hit, Naruto was actually able to block it with his arm, something Lee had not seen too many opponents able to do. Pushing Lee away, Naruto moved to the offensive, striking out with a series of punches and kicks that even Lee was finding himself having trouble dealing with. That taijutsu style. I know I've seen it somewhere before, commented Guy on the sidelines. Jiraiya-sama, That's not the style I think it is it? It is. Over the past 2 years, with help of some scrolls we found in the ancient ruins of Uzushio-gakure, I've been having Naruto learn the Uzukan taijutsu style, commented Jiraiya. I see, replied Guy. Then this will certainly be interesting. Guy-sensei, what exactly is the Uzukan? Asked Neji. The Uzukan is the formidable taijutsu style of the Uzumaki clan. It's a very powerful offensive style that is both controlled and random at the same time. As you can see, Lee's having a very difficult time defending against Naruto's attacks, which is what makes the style what it is. It's kind of like trying to fight against a whirlpool. You can only hold onto your composure for so long before you slip up, if even just slightly, and then the whirlpool has you in its vicious clutches. That's exactly what this style is. Naruto's current attacks are a sort of random attacks that he himself controls, trying to throw Lee off balance. Once that happens, the match is effectively over, as once an Uzukan master has you off balance, they strike out viciously with a wrath rivaled only by the greatest of storms to devastate you. Only the most skilled of taijutsu users can escape once an Uzukan master has you. Lee was currently doing everything in his power to stay on top of Naruto's attacks, which, as Guy had mentioned to his team, seemed to be doing everything they could to get the spandex-clad Chunin off balance. Lee decided to try and break Naruto's attacks by striking out at the blonde, but this just proved to be counterproductive, as Naruto parried the attack and now took advantage of the opening Lee had created. The Jinchuriki landed to the top of Lee's chest, just below the neckline, and that only forced an even larger opening that Naruto began to take advantage of. Now that Naruto had made his opening, Lee found the momentum in the attacks shifting from quick and debilitating to strong and vicious. As Guy had explained, Lee had been fighting the chaotic currents of the whirlpool, and the moment he gave in, even if just a little, the whirlpool moved in and hit him hard. Lee was now desperately struggling to keep Naruto's attacks at bay, and every now and then, the blonde would get a hit in. Lee had to get out of there and regain the momentum of the battle in his favor. Naruto-kun, your skills are commendable, and I am going to have to up it a notch if I am to live up to the youthfulness you are displaying. Gate of opening, open. Lee opened the first of the celestial gates, giving him the burst of energy he needed to break off from Naruto's attack. I see Lee was able to get out of that, commented Jiraiya. The Uzukan will destroy most shinobi, however, Lee isn't most shinobi, commented Guy. Go Lee. Take them off, Guy-sensei? Asked Lee. You heard me, take them off and show Naruto the full extent of your youth, shouted Guy. Hi. Guy-sensei. Replied Lee. Well, if you're going to relieve yourself of some weight, then I might as well too, commented Naruto as he revealed and deactivated the gravity seals on him. I see Naruto's learned the value of training with weights, commented Guy. They're not as bulky as traditional weights, but gravity seals have the same effect, replied Jiraiya. Ready Lee? Asked Naruto. Yosh. Here I come, shouted Lee. The two combatants were in a blur of black, orange, and green. Whoa. Fast, gasped Tenten, who was now having trouble keeping up with the two blurs. The battle momentarily slowed down as Naruto barely blocked a kick to his chest, causing him to slide back. As Naruto came to a stop, Lee was already making his next move, dashing in a circle around Naruto at a blinding speed. Knowing what was coming, Naruto centered himself. Spiraling motions were one of the keys to the Uzukan, as they allowed for the most unpredictability. But to an Uzukan user, someone who knew how to utilize spiraling motions, the situation Naruto now found himself in wasn't as bad as many would have thought. He just had to get the feel for Lee's own movements, and then Lee made his move, lashing out with a quick low kick that was meant to sweep Naruto's legs out from underneath him, which would be followed by a swift upward kick to send Naruto airborne. But Naruto could feel this coming and had reacted accordingly, going with Lee's own momentum and using that to put enough distance between the two to stop Lee's attempts to use the primary lotus. Naruto dodged that? Asked a surprised Neji. A lot of the Uzukan's movements rely on spirals and vortexes. If you've noticed, a lot of Naruto's previous movements had him moving in a sort of circular pattern around Lee. The Uzukan utilizes the movements of these spirals, and as such, it can make use of external spirals, such as the way Lee came into the primary lotus, explained Guy. Uzukan users understand how to go with the flow of even the most chaotic flow patterns, and that's exactly what Naruto did there. He went with the flow of Lee's initiating attack and was able to move away. It's something that very few taijutsu users can actually do, and it's one of the reasons that the Uzukan is so formidable. You truly have excelled in skill, Naruto-kun. You even managed to evade my primary lotus, commented Lee. The two Chunin were off at each other again at insane speeds. Naruto was trying to throw Lee off balance, but now that Lee didn't have his training weights on, the spandex-clad taijutsu user was able to move fast enough to remain on his toes and to keep Naruto from gaining the upper hand. It's not the full potential of the Uzukan, but considering that he's only been learning it for, what, 2 years? Naruto's actually rather skilled with using it, commented Guy. It takes many years and even decades before one can claim them as a taijutsu master in a particular style, and Naruto still has a long way to go before he can be considered a taijutsu master. But he's most certainly got a great deal of skill already. I'd agree with you there. It is quite clear his taijutsu's improved, but remember that's not all Naruto has. In fact, if there's one area of close combat that he's truly taken off in, it's with that sword of his, replied Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sama, no offense, but you're not the best teacher for Kenjutsu. If Naruto's as skilled as you're mentioning, then he must have had another teacher to supplement him in that area, said Guy. Naruto spent the past 6 to 7 months training in the Land of Iron, under Mifune-sama, said Jiraiya as Tenten's eyes widened at that revelation. You mean the Mifune? The one who's earned the title Mifune of the Infinite Blades? Asked Tenten. The very same. Even Mifune was impressed with Naruto's Kenjutsu, commented Jiraiya. We were originally worried because Mifune commented that Naruto's style was a little unnatural in Mifune's eyes, but once he began working in some of the actual Uzumaki Kenjutsu scrolls, he began to settle into it. The issue was the slight differences between Mifune's style and the original Uzumaki style. In my own opinion, I could count the number of people in the village who would be better than Naruto at the sword on one hand, if even that, and that was only after not even a year of training, added Guy. Damn, if Naruto's progressed this far in the span of 2 years, coming from not having a refined taijutsu to being able to give Lee a good match, but then add in the fact that Naruto's apparently skilled at the sword, he's already got a high level of talent in ninjutsu, which was seen from the Chunin exams, and then there was that display with Fuinjutsu the other day. Throw the ability to control the Kyuubi into the mix and that kid's going to be a monster one day, thought Guy. As Naruto and Lee's match came to an end, Lee had shown to still have a higher level of taijutsu than Naruto, but the margin between the two was much smaller than even Guy had expected. But as it had been stated before, Naruto still had other, more potent, forms of fighting that he was not utilizing here, and who would have thought that after just 2 years of training, he could match Lee this well? Especially considering Lee had at least 4 to develop his own taijutsu. That's enough, you two, yelled Guy, before the two combatants could re-engage in their match. What? You're calling it? Asked Naruto. Both of you are very skilled and I have never seen such youthfulness explode out of either of you. But I am afraid that if this match were to continue, you would use powers that are not suitable to use on fellow comrades, commented Guy. That was a good match, Bush brows. You've really improved since I last saw you, commented Naruto. No, it is you who has grown, Naruto-kun, replied Lee. Yosh. That was an excellent match, you two. You both should be proud, exclaimed Guy as he patted Naruto and Lee on the back. I do agree. However, such a match has left me parched, commented Lee. There's a bottle of water in my pack, replied Jiraiya. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama, bowed Lee as he made his way over towards Jiraiya's pack and began digging through it, pulling out a bottle. Just make sure you grab the right bottle, commented Jiraiya. This water tastes kind of. Lee trailed off as the water in that bottle began to take effect on his system. Oh no, said Guy, shuddering at the thought of what was about to happen. Please tell me that wasn't sake. So the kid drank a little bit of alcohol. What's the big deal? Asked Jiraiya. If he were to look around, he would see the other 2 members of Team Guy also freaking out. Big deal? He can't have any alcohol. Hey, exclamation mark. Why, you're just standing there. If you're not going to come, then I will, said Lee, who was now clearly drunk after that swig of sake. He ran towards the group before falling flat on the ground on his way over. I see your concern. The kid's a total lightweight, replied Jiraiya. No, you don't understand. Lee's a master of the drunken fist, panicked Guy as Jiraiya paled at that revelation, having heard the rumors of just how destructive those blessed by Kami with the skill of the drunken fist were. For the rest of the day, screams echoed through the field and surrounding landscape as Team Guy, Naruto, and Jiraiya did their very best to restrain a drunk and chaotic Lee, only to find themselves dragging their aching bodies back to the hotel later after Lee had finally passed out when the alcohol worked its way out of his system. 2 days later, after recovering from Lee's drunken fist incident and taking one more day to simply relax and enjoy the sun, Team Guy found themselves at the gates of Ogasawara, it being time for them to return home now that they were rested and Neji had fully recovered himself from having the seal removed. Despite the initial dizziness from having the regression seal used, Neji could already feel more strength coursing through his Byakugan. After examining the seal again, Jiraiya had in fact realized that there were a few measures to reduce the abilities of the Byakugan by about 25% for anyone who bore the seal. Unfortunately for Neji, he couldn't flaunt his now sealless forehead around, especially with the Hyuga elders still in place. Despite Neji's own potential, he wasn't quite at the level to take on Iroh in combat, and as such, he would have to wait a little longer before he and Hiashi could make their first move on the elders. Jiraiya had gone ahead and drawn a fake seal on Neji's head, using a simple permanent marker that wouldn't come off unless a little alcohol was rubbed on it. Naruto, again I cannot thank you enough, said Neji, bowing to Naruto at the city gates. Don't mention it, Neji. Although if you could do me a favor, then that'd be great, said Naruto. Certainly, replied Neji. Can you just tell Hinata-chan that I've missed her dearly and it won't be much longer until I'm home? Asked Naruto. I'm certain I can do that. She will be happy to know that you are doing well and miss her, said Neji. So when will we know when you've returned? Trust me, you'll know, said Naruto with a devious look on his face. Let's get going, shouted Guy. It's 4 days back to Konoha, so let's get a move on it. I thought it was a 10-day journey? Asked Naruto. 10 and Neji sighed. It is, Guy-sensei, I feel we can get there in 3, called out Lee, horrifying Neji and 10. Even though they liked their team, they absolutely hated traveling with Guy and Lee because of what they were doing now. Nonsense, Lee. We'll be there by sunset tonight. And if we're not, then I shall run 100 laps around Konoha on my hands, with 10 atop my feet, declared Guy. Yosh. Let's get going. Help us, pleaded 10 as Team Guy and Jiraiya and Naruto parted ways. So Naruto, where are we off to now? Asked Jiraiya. Huh? You're asking me? Asked Naruto. I'll be completely honest. I've taught you all I had hoped to with the exception of one thing, said Jiraiya. Everything else, you know, to the point where I can't really help you with. I'm not an Uzumaki, so I can't help you that much with whatever you have left to discover in that sealing book, and your taijutsu and kenjutsu are coming along good, and all I think you need now is time and experience with those. So what's this you want to teach me? Asked Naruto. I'll be honest, I hadn't planned on having you learn this for another few years, but I do think you are ready to learn the sage arts from the toads, said Jiraiya. What? Really? Exclaimed an excited Naruto. He remembered Jiraiya telling him about Senjutsu after the time Jiraiya kicked Orochimaru team's ass with it back when the Sound 4-5 attacked his team. Naruto knew that with the ability to use Senjutsu and also the Kyuubi, he was going to be kicking some serious Akatsuki ass. Yes, I think you're ready for it, but I need to work things out with the toads first, and they aren't exactly the quickest to act on things like taking on another toad sage, said Jiraiya. All in all, I would say we have about 2 or 3 months before I can convince them and they agree. So, I restate the question, what do you want to do until then? You know, I actually wouldn't mind staying here for a while, said Naruto. Oh ho? So you're going to let your good old godfather stick around to finish his book? Asked a happy Jiraiya. The beach was a treasure trove of inspiration for his book, and at the rate he was going, it would be done in about a month. I wasn't quite thinking of it that way, but if you want to finish your stupid book, I don't mind, said Naruto. What do you mean, stupid book? You've read the first 3 and even you thought they were great? Shouted Jiraiya. Yeah, but most of the drafts you've given me were just kind of dumb, replied Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. So what's the real reason you want to stay here? Asked Jiraiya. Well, I kind of want to work on something that's been on my mind for a little. I can't exactly do it while moving around, and with that field on the outskirt of the town being there, it's a perfect place for me to train. Besides, it's a nice place here and kind of relaxing. I need to remember to bring Hinata-chan here sometime, commented Naruto. Why? So you can see her in a swimsuit. Jiraiya saw a blush appear on Naruto's face. That hadn't been all the reasons, but it was one. Oh, I can see it now. That perfect figure, those D-cup breasts, and that irresistibly adorable face, all packed into simple yet revealing 2-piece swimsuits. You two are out on the beach and she asks you to rub some sunscreen on her. So you undo the back of her top and she lets out a little moan of pleasure just from the touch of your fingers against her silky skin. Jiraiya looked over to Naruto to find the blonde passed out due to lack of blood in his head, partially due to a massive nosebleed and partially due to the pooling of blood in a certain. Jiraiya had taken that part from his Icha Icha Paradise book, and he was pretty sure the beach scene had just come to Naruto's mind, only with Naruto and Hinata as the characters. A few minutes passed and Naruto regained consciousness as Jiraiya had taken him into a restaurant to get some breakfast. Okay Gaki, so what is it that you really want to work on? Asked Jiraiya. It's my Rasengan, replied Naruto. Oh? What about it? If there's any jutsu you can do right, it's that one, joke the toad sage. Well, you see, when I talked to my dad that one time, he mentioned to me that it wasn't a complete jutsu, said Naruto. Flashback. So then I met Uro Sennin after Kakashi-sensei dumped me onto some closet perv to train me for the Chunin exams, explained Naruto as he was telling his parents about how his life had been. Closet perv caught Uro Sennin peeping into the hot springs and he tried to stop him, but Uro Sennin summoned this toad and laid the close perv flat on his ass. Despite the fact that Naruto had been referring to Jiraiya as Uro Sennin and Ebisu as closet perv, his parents couldn't help but laugh, especially Kushina. She found it hilarious that Naruto had dubbed Jiraiya as Uro Sennin. Well, Uro Sennin took over my training and gave me the summoning contract for toads, and then he began teaching me your jutsu, Dad, the Rasengan told Naruto. So Jiraiya taught you the Rasengan, did he? Asked Minato. You know, that reminds me that I never got a chance to complete it. Huh? What do you mean you didn't complete it? It works just perfectly, declared Naruto. I designed the Rasengan to take chakra shape manipulation to the ultimate form, but I never was able to add an element to it, said Minato. Add an element? You mean like wind, fire, or water? Asked Naruto. Yes. It took me 3 years to get that jutsu down, but I haven't been able to add an element to it yet. It would always blow up on me, replied Minato. Yeah, and Tsunade wasn't happy when you'd come into the hospital with your arms all chopped up every day, joked Kushina. I know. I'm going to complete your jutsu for you, Touchin, T-by-O. Declared Naruto, getting a sigh from Kushina at the addition of the verbal tick. Naruto, you know you don't have to. I don't want you hurting yourself like I did, said Minato. I can do. Besides, if I'm going to be an even greater Hokage than you, then I'm not going to let silly things like not being able to add an element to the Rasengan hold me back, said Naruto. Besides, Furball can just heal me, so it won't be that big of a deal. End flashback. Geez, that's going to be a tough one, said Jiraiya. Even I've tried to add an element to that jutsu and all I've done was fail. Well, I'm going to give it a go. In fact, I'm going to complete Dad's jutsu, just you wait, declared Naruto. Alright, if you really want to try it, then I'm not going to stop you, said Jiraiya. But what I think you should do first is make sure you've got the shape manipulation down perfectly. Huh? What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Well, the Rasengan's normally about the size of a grapefruit, right? Naruto nodded. What I'm saying is make sure you can control the shape of the Rasengan at different sizes. So you're saying that I need to be able to make the Rasengan either smaller or bigger and be able to control it as I change the size? Asked Naruto. Well, I wasn't necessarily meaning to change the size of the Rasengan in your hand. I was just thinking that you should be able to make sure you can control a bigger one that has more power in it. But that's actually not a bad idea, said Jiraiya. Yeah, I'd say make sure you can take the normal Rasengan and shrink it to the size of maybe a marble and then increase it to like the size of a beach volleyball or something. As for the element part, I don't have any ideas either. Which element did you try to add? Asked Naruto. Fire, but I nearly got myself killed when it exploded, replied Jiraiya. I know your father tried wind. Yeah, and wind was going to be what I started with anyways, seeing as that's my strongest element, replied Naruto. Then I think you're already aware of what's going to happen when it destabilizes from the elemental chakra, replied Jiraiya. I am, but my dad didn't have my healing factor, so I won't have to worry as much, replied Naruto. Well, I can see you've already got your mind set on it, and it's not like I'm complaining that we're going to be here for some more time. Just don't get yourself killed. Minato nearly drove Tsunade mad when trying to complete the jutsu, and the last thing I want is to take your chopped up body back to Konoha, replied Jiraiya. But, if anyone can do it, perhaps it's you. Hey, don't worry about a thing. I'll have it completed in no time, exclaimed Naruto. Look, the Rasengan's already an A-rank jutsu. If by some sheer amount of luck you pull this off, I believe that new jutsu would be at least S rank, if not higher, said Jiraiya. Just to put that in perspective, the only other jutsu you have that is S rank or higher is that regression seal of yours, and that's not exactly a combat jutsu. S rank jutsus are of a completely different nature than an A rank, and they're S rank for a reason. Take Kakashi's Reikiri, not his Chidori. His Reikiri is S rank because it can cut through an actual bolt of lightning. And then you have Minato's Hiraishin, the jutsu that he used to wipe out an entire army single-handedly in a matter of seconds. That's the scale on which S rank techniques operate on. A few days passed with Naruto working on what he and Jiraiya had come up with, and that was to be able to fully control the size and shape of the Rasengan. Thanks to all of his clones, the blonde Jinchuriki had been able to create a Rasengan at varying sizes, from as small as a large marble to as big as a volleyball. Now there was just one thing left to do, and that was to be able to form the Rasengan and change the size of it at will. Right, let's do this, exclaimed Naruto. He dispelled all the clones he had working on the different sized Rasengans and allowed the knowledge and experience to soak into his head. His first attempt began with a Rasengan of a smaller size, maybe the size of a ping pong ball. Forming the spiraling sphere was easy, as forming a Rasengan had pretty much become second nature to Naruto. It was a small sphere sitting in the palm of his hand, the diameter about just less than half his normal Rasengan. As Naruto began to expand the sphere, something unexpected happened. Once the ball of chakra reached a certain size, it just dissipated in his palm, leaving nothing behind. Wow, that was kind of weird, thought Naruto. Usually, when they fail they blow up on me, not wither away to nothing. Doing it a second time, the same thing happened. Interesting. I think I know why, responded Kurama. Think back to when you were testing the power of each sized Rasengan. Weren't the larger ones more powerful than the smaller ones? Yeah, they were. The larger ones also required a bit more chakra, thought Naruto. Okay, I've got it now. As I expand it, I've got to add more chakra. I can't just stay on the set amount that I started off with. That's why it's just disappearing, there's not enough chakra. Naruto formed the smaller sphere again and slowly began expanding it, adding in more chakra before it soon reached the size of the large Rasengan, which he had dubbed the Odama Rasengan, or Big Ball Rasengan, seeing as it was exactly that, a bigger and more powerful Rasengan. Okay, I've got that. Now for shrinking it, said Naruto as he began to shrink the sphere of chakra. As soon as it reached the size of a normal Rasengan, the ball of chakra couldn't take it anymore and exploded in the blonde's face, sending him flying back and into a tree. Damn it! There was too much power in that one, swore Naruto. It had been a few years since he had a Rasengan backfire on him like that, and now he was stuck listening to a certain fox laugh at him. However, now Naruto had an idea of what to do. If the smaller one dissipated because it didn't have enough chakra, then the larger one must have exploded because it had too much chakra. Oi, you okay, Naruto? Called out Jiraiya as he had come to check on his student's progress. Yeah, said Naruto, picking himself out of the rubble. Just lost it for a moment trying to shrink it, but I think I've figured out what I need to do. Oh? Asked Jiraiya with a hopeful curiosity. The chakra is different depending on the size of the sphere. The bigger it is, the more chakra. But if there's more chakra than the size of the sphere can handle, it explodes. If there's not enough, it just disappears, said Naruto. So I've got to add more chakra if I want to make it bigger, and I've got to let some out if I want to make it smaller. Okay, let me see then? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto nodded and made the small Rasengan in his hand. As he began to expand the sphere, he added more chakra to keep it from dissolving until it was the size of the Odama Rasengan. Okay, not bad. I see you've got the expansion part down, but can you shrink it? Naruto began to shrink it, letting out some chakra as the size shrunk. Once it hit the size of the normal Rasengan, the same point where it exploded on him the previous time, Naruto momentarily paused and braced for the potential explosion that never came. As he realized he was in the clear, he continued to shrink it until it was the size where he originally began. Hey, not bad. He was able to figure out how to make a bigger Rasengan in a few days. And not only that, but he also figured out how to smoothly change the size and power of the Rasengan as well, thought Jiraiya. All I did was tell him that he should be able to make it bigger and smaller at ease, and he was able to finish that in a few days without my help, really. Yep, he's definitely got a bit of his father in that head of his and not just his mother. Alright, I'll admit you've done pretty well, but you do realize the nearly impossible part is yet to come? Asked Jiraiya. I know, but I don't care how impossible it may seem. I'm going to complete my dad's jutsu no matter what, declared Naruto. Well, it is getting late, so why don't we go back and grab some dinner? I've also got a draft I want you to look over tonight, replied Jiraiya. Naruto sighed, as it was probably going to be another one of Jiraiya's crappy drafts. Surprisingly, that night Jiraiya had actually given Naruto a pretty good draft, giving Jiraiya another scene for his book and putting the pervy writer one step closer to finishing Icha Icha Tactics. It was actually kind of funny that a kid who had once called the Icha Icha books smut and insulting was now willingly editing and even adding his own thoughts to the story. Hell, Naruto had even completely rewritten one of the scenes for Jiraiya, and surprisingly, Jiraiya liked it. The kid had a knack for writing and romance, and perhaps the Icha Icha series would live on past its current author. The following day, Naruto now stood in the middle of the training field with Jiraiya supervising him off to the side. Today was the day Naruto would begin on adding the wind element to Rasengan and complete what his dad could not. Jiraiya was there for safe measures, as he knew from Minato's experiences what could come out of it. Flashback. Jiraiya had walked onto the training ground one day, looking for his prized student, to find the blonde Namikaze in the middle with the Rasengan in hand. Figuring he was working on something with his jutsu, Jiraiya stayed back. For a second, Jiraiya saw a whitish aura around the Rasengan, but it was followed by a massive explosion that sent Minato flying backwards. Minato, shouted Jiraiya as he ran towards his student. What he saw shook him. Minato had a number of slashes across his body, with most of them being concentrated around the arm that had held his Rasengan. What the hell was that technique? What was he trying to do? Jiraiya immediately raced his bleeding student to the hospital, hoping that Tsunade would be able to do something for him. Thankfully, she was able to heal Minato back to full, but she was nowhere near happy that Minato had nearly gotten himself killed, venting her frustration on Jiraiya for allowing his student to do something like that. Minato didn't attempt to complete his Rasengan until he mastered the Hiraishin, allowing him to flash away if it felt like the Rasengan was going to explode. But even then, Minato had not been able to contain the added power of wind into the Rasengan. End flashback. Jiraiya was hoping the same thing wouldn't repeat itself, but sadly it did. As Naruto formed the Rasengan himself, he began to add his wind element to the sphere. Just as it did with Minato's Rasengan, Naruto's began to glow a whitish color before exploding and slicing the blonde. Shit. swore Jiraiya as he went to check on Naruto. When he got there, he saw the same thing that he did on Minato, numerous slices all over Naruto's body and clothes. As Jiraiya looked over Naruto's wounds, he saw that they were glowing with red chakra and already healing. Well, at least I don't have to face Tsunade with this one so long as Kurama can heal him. Damn it. That hurt like hell. Swore Naruto. Now do you see what I mean about that being the nearly impossible part? Asked Jiraiya. Yeah. The moment I put my wind chakra into it and tried to contain it, it exploded, grunted Naruto as his wounds finished healing. You're not going to stop, are you? Asked Jiraiya, seeing the determined look in Naruto's eyes. Hell no. I said I was going to complete my dad's jutsu and I'm going to complete it, T-by-O. Exclaimed Naruto. Jiraiya sighed. Just promise me you won't talk about this to Tsunade, okay? Naruto grinned at this and rubbed the back of his hand. I also want you to take some time and think on it in between attempts, okay? About a month had passed and Naruto had about as much success as the first time he attempted to add the wind chakra to his Rasengan. Kurama was really beginning to get irritated with Naruto and was tempted to place the blonde on suicide watch after all the times he had cut himself over the past months, even if he really wasn't trying to kill himself. As it stood, Naruto was pretty much out of ideas on how to keep the wind element contained within the Rasengan. He had picked Jiraiya's brain a few times for what Minato might have already tried, and even if he could think of a way to try and improve what his dad had thought of doing, it just blew up in his face. No matter what he tried, he just couldn't contain the wind. Speaking of wind, there currently was a rather nice breeze as Naruto was taking a walk along the beach, trying to come up with some idea as to how to complete this jutsu. It was also a big time for the resort village of OGS Urawa as the Festival of Kites. All along the beach, there were kites of multiple sizes, shapes, and colors aloft in the breeze. Taking a seat along the boardwalk, he watched as a pair of kite enthusiasts began to launch what had to be the largest kite on the beach. It was a large yellow sun, but the moment the kite was up, the wind caught it and began pulling the kite pilots with it. It wasn't long before the two pilots completely lost their kite in the wind as it was blown out to sea from the shore. Now that's what happens when you try to contain the wind, commented a passing pedestrian. Naruto heard this and immediately picked his head up at the passing pedestrian. Excuse me, what did you mean by that? Asked the blonde. It's simple really. You can't contain the wind. That's why all the kites that are successfully flying have some sort of channels to guide the wind, said the pedestrian. Those two fools thought they could steal the show with their massive kite, yet they completely forgot about the fundamentals of kite flying, and that is that your kite has to flow with the wind, not try and capture it. Even a small hole to channel the wind out of the kite would have helped them immensely. Wow, you actually seem as if you know quite a bit about designing kites, Mr. Naruto blanked, not knowing the man's name. Hiroi Sora, the kite master in charge of this festival, said Sora. And I would think I'd know a lot about kites. I've built almost half of them here. Wow, really? That's pretty cool, and so are a lot of the kites here, said Naruto. Thanks, kid. Now I've got to get back to work, but please enjoy the festival, said Sora. Naruto happily went on his way, making sure to pick up large cone of cotton candy before heading back to the hotel. On his way back, Naruto was admiring the kites that flowed with the breeze. You know, now that I look at them, I can see what that Sora guy was talking about, thought Naruto. It's like they can get the wind to flow with them, but they never try and hold onto it. Immediately, Naruto came to a dead halt and his own cotton candy cone fell to the ground in front of him. That's it, was all that escaped his mouth before the blonde went sprinting off to find Uro-Sennin. Hee hee. Oh yes. You'll do very nicely indeed, said Jiraiya as he was observing some of the early evening female beachgoers, hoping to get some last-minute inspiration to put the finishing touches on his book. Everything was perfect for the super pervert, and the best part is there was no annoying brat to get in the way of his research. That is until Uro-Sennin, shouted Naruto, running towards Jiraiya and kicking up a trail of sand behind him. Uro-Sennin, Uro-Sennin, will stop that gaki? Shouted Jiraiya. We're in public. Sorry, but come on, shouted Naruto as he pulled on a reluctant Jiraiya's arm. Really? What is it you need? Asked an irritated Jiraiya. The jutsu. I think I know how to complete it, exclaimed Naruto. Jiraiya's eyes grew wide. Had Naruto really thought of a way to complete the Rasengan? Okay, I'll come with you to make sure you don't cut yourself up too bad, sighed Jiraiya. Looks like he wasn't going to be finishing his book tonight, but Naruto really did seem worked up, so maybe the kid had found something after all. The sun was beginning to set already by the time Naruto had dragged Jiraiya to their temporary training ground, and even with night starting to fall, Naruto was bouncing with energy. Okay Naruto, what do you have? Well, I kind of got the idea from the kites. The main reason why adding wind chakra to the Rasengan has kept causing it to blow up is because it was trying to contain the wind instead of letting it flow naturally through the Rasengan, explained Naruto. You can't contain the wind or else it's just going to come back and bite you hard. But you can flow it. Jiraiya was currently thinking on what Naruto had told him. You know, every time Minato's tried it, he's tried to contain the wind chakra within the jutsu. I don't think he's ever thought about just trying to flow wind through it. The Gaki might be onto something. Okay, so you going to give it a go? Asked Jiraiya, now curious if Naruto's revelation was actually going to work. Hell yeah, declared Naruto. Griot, here we go again, thought Kurama. Round number 125 for blowing yourself up kit. Oh, just shut it. Naruto then went through the process of making the initial Rasengan, which formed with relative ease in his hand. Now came the hard part. Naruto had to channel his wind chakra into the sphere, but he couldn't contain it. He had to just let the wind flow naturally through the spiraling sphere. Slowly, Naruto began to change his own chakra from normal chakra to wind chakra. The spiraling motion of the chakra had already begun to create air currents around the sphere, and as Naruto introduced more and more wind chakra to the jutsu, he could feel a surprisingly strong breeze coming from the Rasengan itself. As he changed the last of the chakra in the sphere into wind chakra, the Rasengan took on that whitish glow that it had every other time. Before the pressure could build up to the point of explosion though, Naruto allowed for the wind to flow freely through the spiraling sphere as 4 miniature blade-like projections erupted from each side and a high-pitched whistle could be heard coming from the spinning ball. Jiraiya could only help but stare at the accomplishment Naruto had just achieved. Yada! Uro-sennin, I did it, declared Naruto, losing control of the Rasengan and being blown back. Damn it. Hey, the Gaki actually did it, thought Jiraiya, still in amazement. Okay Naruto, let's test it and see if it's the real deal. Huh? How are we going to do that? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya formed his own Rasengan in his hand. We're going to clash our two Rasengan. If yours is the real deal, then mine won't have any effect at all. Naruto recreated the wind Rasengan in his hand, taking his time to stabilize it and making sure not to lose concentration. Ready? Asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Naruto, doing what would probably earn them a few years in the hospital. The master and student ran at each other with Rasengan and Futon, Rasengan in hand. The two spheres collided and a small explosion ensued with the two jutsu colliding. As Jiraiya looked down at his now pained hand, he saw that his entire arm looked as if it had been put through a blender. Just opposite of him, Naruto appeared to have taken no damage from Jiraiya's attack, and it was unmistakably whose jutsu was the stronger of the two. Jiraiya had made sure to make his Rasengan as strong as possible, and if it hadn't been for his own attack taking the brunt of Naruto's, he'd be explaining to Tsunade why he was missing an arm or worse. Uro-sennin, shouted Naruto as he realized just how badly Jiraiya's hand had been injured. Are you okay? Damn, that attack was something, grunted Jiraiya. Sadly, I don't think I'll be able to finish my book for a bit, but I am extremely proud of you. You managed to do something not even myself nor your father could do. As Jiraiya told him that, Naruto worked on bandaging Jiraiya's arm, having been taught rudimentary first aid by Jiraiya. Giving Jiraiya a boost to his feet, the blonde and the pervert made their way back into town. You know, you truly have grown over these past few years. And I can see that even in your clothes, replied Jiraiya. I think it's about time for another wardrobe change. I'm sure ever since you left the Land of Iron, you've found your old shinobi outfit to be rather small. Naruto grinned at this. He had stopped wearing his shinobi outfit months ago and had been using regular training clothes. One reason was because his old outfit had worn out rather fast after all the physical training he and Jiraiya had done at the movie set and in the Land of Snow. Another was that he had simply outgrown them. There's a shop that sells durable outdoor clothes here. I think it's about time for another wardrobe change. It's the very least I could do for how far you've come. The following day, Jiraiya had taken Naruto to see if he could pick out a new outfit. No, shouted Jiraiya. Oh come on. This jacket's awesome, T-Bio. Yeah, but it's almost as orange as that jumpsuit of yours, replied Jiraiya. Naruto had picked out an outfit that consisted of a pair of solid orange pants and a jacket that was orange. So, what's wrong with orange? Even my old outfit had orange in it, replied Naruto. And that outfit was a huge step forward as only your arms had orange, argued Jiraiya. Well, now I'm taking another step forward with this outfit. The arms aren't orange anymore, replied Naruto. Yeah, but everything else is, stated Jiraiya. Naruto may have gotten smarter, but he could still be stubborn at times. Oh come on, but I really like this jacket, pleaded Naruto. Jiraiya took a look at the begging blonde. In all honesty, the jacket wasn't too bad. I mean, sure it was orange, but the orange parts could actually be covered up fairly easy, such as with a flax jacket. At the same time, it would take care of the more easily visible orange sleeves, seeing as the sleeves on this jacket were black. The main issue was the pants Naruto had selected. The pants were solid orange and couldn't be covered as easily. Okay, I'll make you a deal. I'll get you that jacket, but go and get a different pair of pants, replied Jiraiya, making a compromise with the blonde. Really? You'll get it? Exclaimed Naruto, Only if you get a pair of pants that don't screams kill me now. Replied Jiraiya. And I actually saw some metal plated gloves. Grab a pair of those if you want something to seal your kunai and stuff in there. As Naruto and Jiraiya were making their selection, secretly the tailor at the counter was cheering. He had been waiting for the day when he could get rid of that orange jacket. He would have to put up with it for another day or two to add the red spiral on the back end, the white spiral on the right shoulder, but he was finally going to be rid of that orange stain in his shop. As Naruto had left the shop, Jiraiya had stayed behind. So you want to add this to the order? Asked the tailor. Yeah, it shouldn't be too much extra, should it? Asked Jiraiya. No. It'll take me a few days extra as I need to start from scratch, but this won't be too much more, replied the tailor. Good. And don't include it with the rest of the order. I kind of want for it to be a surprise for the kids, said Jiraiya. I see. I shall have it done in 3 days. You may pick it up then, sir, replied the tailor. Hey Uro-senin, so how much longer until you can teach me this senjutsu stuff? Asked Naruto as he and Jiraiya were walking back towards the hotel. Jiraiya was still resting his now bandaged arm and couldn't do too much writing. Thankfully for him, Naruto had proven a decent writer for the last portion of the book, and all he had to do was feed Naruto the ideas and outline of the chapter. They were on the very last chapter, and if they could get it finished by the end of the week, then Jiraiya would most certainly be a happy perverted writer as he sent the draft to his publisher for publishing. Well, I talked with the Toads before you blew my arm up and they said that the preparations for training you would be complete in a little more than a month. I take it you've finished what you were planning on doing, and if everything goes alright, I'll have my book ready for publishing by the end of the week, said Jiraiya. So what are we going to do until then? Asked Naruto. Naruto, let me talk to the pervert for a moment, said Kurama. Huh? Okay Kurama, replied Naruto as Kurama took control of Naruto's body for a moment. Jiraiya spoke Kurama through Naruto's voice. That you, Kurama? Asked Jiraiya. This was only the second time he had seen Kurama take control of Naruto's body and he was still not quite used to it. Kurama nodded. Look, seeing as you've still got a month to go before those Toads take over the kid's training for a bit, I want to take him and train him a bit myself while we have some time. He still needs a lot of practice in the full potentials of using my powers. The only problem is that this isn't something we can do close to any sort of civilization. So you want to take Naruto out into the wilderness for a little? Asked Jiraiya. Kurama nodded. I'll admit, that first time using my full form wasn't terrible, but he needs to improve with both his coordination and my form, and there are a few skills I have to train him how to use properly. I see. Will this make it so he doesn't nearly flatten me with a wayward tail again? Asked Jiraiya, earning a slight chuckle from Kurama. Trust me, when I'm through with him, those tails are going to be the least of your worries, said Kurama, sending a slight chill down Jiraiya's spine. Fine. As great as this place is, I'm starting to run low on inspiration from it. You can only get so much before having to move on. I should be done with my book by the week's end. We'll leave then, said Jiraiya. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.